It's the SDG Podcast. Before we get started, you can check us out on the web at solutiondesign.com/podcast or find us on all the social medias, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Solution Design Group. All right, we're back with another podcast. Joining us today, we have Chad Juttner.
Hey.
Eric Schneider.
Howdy.
And Greg Stier.
Hello.
And I'm Kyle Bacher, and today we're talking about, well, actually, I'm just going to let you introduce the topic, Eric, since it was your idea.
It was when you asked for ideas, it's something that was on my mind because it's an ongoing saga I'm dealing with. But yeah, the story is though I had up until recently I was driving a car that it was over 20 years old, and cars aren't made to last forever, so it was falling apart at the seams. But my stereo setup on there was a phone in a mount, and it plugged into an aux port, and it worked perfectly. And so forced to get a new car. I now have a newer car, which is only 8 years old, and it's the first car for me that has one of these infotainment setups. And before I even bought it, it was already rendered useless because it can only talk to the 3G cell network, which doesn't exist anymore. So half of the functionality in it just simply doesn't work because it just has a big 3G logo of it trying to spin and connect to the network, and doesn't work. And so it's pretty useless. So I look into it and I find there's a magic box you can buy that you don't get rid of the infotainment built in because there's a bunch of critical car functions baked into that. So you can't get rid of it and replace it. So I added this magic box alongside the built-in radio to make it work with AirPlay and do some modern stuff like add connectivity back in. And but it's super complicated because now I have two stereos, and the phone connects to one thing to do CarPlay and the built-in stereo with Bluetooth to do audio. And, and it's just kind of a messy setup, but get it to work. But I don't know if there's this thing in cars called CAN bus where all of the parts of your car can talk to each other, right? Or there's a part of your car that can detect if it's day or night, or if your headlights are on or not. It can tell your that's why your infotainment can dim because it can read that off the CAN bus. Or if you push buttons on your steering wheel, it's just a serial thing that sends out an event saying, hey, they pushed the track forward. And so I got all this set up and go to play music, and it now when I push next track, both stereos read that input and it skips forward 2 tracks. And when I hit back, it skips back 2 tracks because they're both trying to do the same thing. And it was at that point I'm like, do I just put tape over the infotainment and just never look at it again? Because just so fed up with trying to make this work. When again, I had a car that was much older and it was not a problem at all. So it feels like it's technology trying to solve a problem that didn't exist, and it's just a completely wrong application of technology in that car.
What kind of car did you have? Is it a what?
I had a 20-year-old Volvo wagon. It was the best car. It was the best car I've ever owned. It was majestic and magical, but like I said, it just every piece of plastic on it disintegrated after some point.
And the new car is what?
It's basically the newer version of that car. It's not a wagon.
Oh,
it's not a wagon. It's not a wagon. I wanted a wagon, but they're not popular anymore, and so I got a small SUV because one of my main way of repairing cars is to find a car in a junkyard that's been in either a rear end or a front end collision, but it has the part on the opposite end of the car that was demolished, and take the part off and put it on my car, and now it's fixed. So just keep merging.
So you buy a parts car?
No, I just keep merging broken cars into working cars instead of buying new parts because I'm a cheapskate. And so the way nobody buys the wagon, so I bought a small SUV because I can actually get junkyard parts for it.
Oh, nice. So, when is technology the wrong choice, the wrong solution? And I think you touched on it's solving a problem that doesn't exist. It makes things worse. I think is a good
Right.
And there's a lot of that, the overhead that and the skills you need to maintain and all that stuff kind of factors into it. So when you're
Right.
taking on some kind of new tech to solve a problem, you have to consider a lot of things. But
Yeah, and what you just touched on is important, the skills, because fortunately I work in technology, because the solution to that problem was I had to download some firmware and manually edit a .ini file to make it not read the steering wheel buttons, like disable those buttons on one of the things, and then flash the firmware and just cross my fingers that I wouldn't like brick my car in some way.
and there's nothing mechanical there. Like
No,
it's
all
not a brake
electronics.
job. It's not an alternator.
No, it's like plugging a USB stick into a cord that sticks out of my glove box. It was
So don't buy a Volvo is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm hearing too. Well,
Don't buy a new
but like,
car. Yeah.
I mean, I kind of agree. It seems like, because my wife, we just upgraded my wife's car not long ago, and it's, got one of those big infotainment, centers in the middle, and it's just a distraction, right? And it feels like they just people are just trying to stick a screen into everything, whether it needs it or not. It's just because it shows well, like in the store, you know what I mean? Like, and not long ago, a year or so ago, we did a fairly sizable renovation on our house. And so we were replacing a lot of the appliances, and that was one of the things we ran into. You go buy a fridge, and like they all had these massive screens, and just I don't know, it was too much technology built in. The ice maker was all electronic now, and there I had was looking at reviews and reading horror stories of a bad software update or just something in the electronics goes bad, and then it leaks water all over your floor because it's not a mechanical lever that controls it anymore, it's electronic. Do you know what I mean? And it just for no reason, right? And it was like we had one guy selling us on this fridge that had this huge screen on it, and you could keep your grocery list on there. And I was like, well, I can't bring the fridge to me with this to the store when I go shopping. Like, what good is that? It's just it was a solution looking for a problem, right?
Like DoorDash.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, if you have money flowing in and you're like me, single, cooking for one is kind of sucks unless it's breakfast. But if I want to make a big stir fry, it's going to cost me $100, and just all the ingredients and stuff. It's like, so it's pulled me out of the grocery store, and now I'm like trying to get off DoorDash, and it's like, I think it's easier to kick heroin than having like food just magically appear. Voting machines.
Well, before we move on for DoorDash, the thing that helped me there is I saw someone describe DoorDash as you hiring a personal taxi cab for your burrito. And the level of shame I felt like reading that, I was like, I don't know if I could ever use one of these services again, because that's exactly what it is.
You don't call an Uber for your Taco Bell?
That's what's happening. I mean, that's what Uber Eats is, right?
Yeah, right, yeah.
I don't.
Yeah, I'm not a DoorDash guy.
My daughter does it all the time. Like I'll just like go upstairs and she'll be eating like Benihana. Like, where did this come from? It's like I was hungry, so I got the hungies. So I ordered Benihana. I'm like, well, that's dumb. Like you go there, you don't go there because the food's good. You go there because there's a show.
Yeah.
There's that flaming onion tower and shrimp they flip around and
Yeah.
kung fu. It's awesome. Yeah, it just tastes better too when you're at the place. It tastes way better.
Yeah.
So real quick, back to the car thing. Like I kind of agree with pretty much everything you said. Although I did notice, like in my wife's car, because it's a 2022 or 23 or something, so it's fairly new. And they did do one thing right. So I don't want to say that like it's just flat out the wrong place for technology, but I think if it's done right, it can be very useful. And so, for example, there's one thing that she has in her car is there is this little like heads up display. It kind of projects onto the windshield in front of you.
Oh, like the
And
little
it's
holographic thing, right?
yeah, it's a little
I've seen
holographic thing, and it's not distracting at all, right? And in fact, when you're looking at it, you can only see it if you're sitting in the driver's seat, and it actually looks like it's being projected about 6 feet out in front of the windshield, just the way the lighting plays with it. But it's not distracting, and right now hers is pretty minimalistic, but it just kind of has your speed, and then it has a little flasher on either side if a car is coming up behind you from the right or the left. It'll just kind of give you a little flash and notification that you can do that, right? Or that they're coming. But it's actually, I think it's a great use of technology in a car because it's not distracting. In fact, it you know, you don't even have to take your eyes off the road to look into the mirror to know that somebody's coming up, right? It
Yeah.
actually works really well versus, you hop into a Tesla and they got a TV screen sitting there, right? And
Yeah,
and you're
it's ridiculous.
sitting there watching baseball while you're going to. I mean, it's a distraction. It's not really helping you do what you're supposed to be doing, which is driving the car.
My truck is 12 years old now, and it's got the Bluetooth, so like I can play songs, and I love that. But the
Yeah.
funny thing is, and it's like unlike Eric, mine actually still works, right? Like it's just Bluetooth. They kept it simple, which is perfect.
Mhm.
The only hilarious thing though is that for whatever reason, every once in a while, when it doesn't recognize the artist being played, it puts up for the album art just a picture of like Patrick Swayze. So like I'll be listening to anything, and I'm like, and it'll be like, here's Black Pistol Fire, and there's Patrick Swayze there for some reason. I was just wondering if that
It's the
was like,
sequel to Ghost. He just
yeah, like
appears.
is this some like joke that somebody that designed this had or what? But
Totally.
I don't know.
It's the-
You've probably seen it, Greg. We've been in there a lot. It just like it doesn't know new artists, and it doesn't like actually stream that from the phone. So the music, great. And if it's an album that existed in 2014, it probably has it or understands it. But for whatever reason, yeah, the album art, and it bugs the hell out of me. Like, not like I'm gonna spend $50,000 on a new truck just because I have to look at Patrick Swayze. Bugs me, but like it's pretty close. Otherwise, the Toyota infotainment system has been spectacular on the Tacoma that I have.
Right. And I guess to clarify, like really what bothers me is when they integrate just too many things. Like when critical car functions or basic car functions are integrated in, like your HVAC and stuff. Like, so I still have physical knobs for like I can turn the heat in the cab like on up and down and turn the AC on. But a bunch of the like feedback to me, like what the temperature is and what the current like seat heater settings are, whatever, are in the screen instead of having like some physical display.
I don't need to know the exact temperature down to the 10th of a degree. I just need a 1 through 5. Do you want it to be really cold or really hot, right? Like,
yeah,
I don't vary. Like, there's not a sweet spot for me as far as temperature goes. And I remember, like, I used to watch these UX videos. Like, not that I'm a big UX guy usually, but like, they used to, like, for trucks at the very least, they used to put like gloves on the designers and say, if you can manipulate every knob and button just using while you're wearing a glove, like that's good, right? Like you should be able to like not get your eyes off the road, reach out and do something over here while you're still driving. That is what we're shooting for. And now it's like a touch screen that you have to like, I don't know.
They make
touch
they
screen
make
and
gloves
what
that
you want
have
is 6
little
levels deep.
things on the fingers.
Yeah,
You can get gloves that'll work on a touch screen.
but you can't do that and look at the road at the same time. It's so silly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's not tactile.
Oh, and again, it's just it feels like they're just throwing a screen in there because
There's no feedback. Like if they could do some kind of feedback on where you're touching the screen, so you know that okay, that's the volume button. Like it
Yeah,
just
just some
shoots
guy.
out.
Just some guy yelling, "Ah, not there!"
Yeah.
Yeah, easy.
You just-
Whoa.
There's just a voice yelling hotter or colder as you move your finger
Yeah.
around.
No,
Warmer,
I'm actually
warmer,
trying to
hotter,
make it
hotter,
hotter or colder.
I got it.
Little voice comes on. What the hell are you trying to do?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
have
can
a
do this, though, Eric. It's like-
thermostat. Like my house is not smart. I have a thermostat that's battery powered, and I want to put the old one back on because when the batteries die, the house, the temp goes down to like, 10 degrees. I'll get up in the morning and it's like, what the hell? Oh, my thermostat. Yeah, so I have to go change the batteries and then the heat kicks back on. So,
I don't even like smart thermostats bug me too, because I mean, a thermostat has one function: make it hot or make it cold, right? Like that's it. And then you have a smart one, and I'm like, okay, I turn it down, and now it's popping back up again because I didn't actually set it to be permanently this temperature. Well, I didn't, that's what I wanted. I just want a dial. Like I'm warm,
yeah.
cold. And then you go to like our cabins and the thermostats are like locked. Like, hey, you don't have access to this function. And the function is make it a little colder in here. I'm like, well, Jesus Christ. That's not, I guess
Yeah.
I just have to open a window until they make that digital.
And the sign, do not attempt to adjust the humidity.
Yeah. I mean, just, it's freaking humid.
It's muggy. I'm
Yeah.
gonna do it. I don't care about your sign. I'm gonna do it.
Kyle,
Yeah,
I
was one of
gotta,
the
I
first
gotta,
things I turned off on ours because we replaced our furnace a few years ago, and it came with one of those, smart thermostats, and I turned off all of the smartness in it, right? Just like because it has this
Lobotomized
auto
it.
sensing, like, hey, should we auto sense if people are home, and then reduce the heat or increase the temp if it's summertime to save energy or whatever. But like I work from home, and a lot of times I work outside on my patio. And then you come in and the temperature was all over the place because it didn't sense anybody home. Or sometimes it doesn't sense it because I'm literally just sitting in a chair typing on a keyboard for 6 straight hours, right? Like,
Yeah. You have to
Uh,
like intermittently flail your arms around.
yeah, just to keep the heat going.
So Kyle, I have a solution for you because on this whole like high tech versus low tech is we used to have problems with our sewage where it would back up every so often. Since been resolved, but it was a big problem where you take a shower unknowingly and you're flooding the basement.
Yep.
And
I've been there.
like okay, I need something that can detect when this is happening, and you can buy a really elaborate setup that's smart and will send a notification to your phone and all that. And the thing that ended up working perfectly is a $10 device called a Leak Frog. That
Yep.
It's just a little plastic thing that sits on the floor and has two contacts on it.
Yep.
And when water bridges those contacts, it just screams extremely loud, like
yeah.
loud enough where you can hear it across the house and in the shower.
Yeah. It's
And
frightening.
It's a beautiful thing. So you need that exact thing, but like a temperature sensitive one. You need like the
Yeah.
temperature frog or something.
Man, do you think there's an industry that's going to pop up where they're going to be able to go in and untechify whatever it is? They're going to lobotomize your smart car and fix it so you can actually use it.
I think you might actually see that because think about some of the the cars is I guess the best example right now, but they're going to be out of date. I mean, that's the problem with software is eventually it just stops getting updates and it stops being supported, right? Which then means you have an entire car that's no longer supported. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a small industry that pops up that says, hey, yeah, do you want to still drive your Tesla that's more than 10 years old? Well, we can kind of, dumb it down so it doesn't need all these, software updates in order to operate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
look up. There's a thing called slate trucks, right?
I
So
was,
they're
I was
modern.
just, I was just gonna bring up Slate because
Yeah, all electric trucks, modern trucks. They actually have cranks on the windows that you'll have to explain to your kids. But it's that idea, right? Like all electric, kind of modular, I think, and it's just a bare bones, like 100%. Like you're getting 4 tires with some batteries, and that's it. So I think that's already happening. Like people are looking at, like I see that too. Like I want to get a new car, at some point, but not really. but my wife does. And I look at all the stuff in them. I'm like, it's like there's no more design. There's no more like interiors don't look cool anymore. It's just like one big computer screen.
Yeah.
And that's it, right? And you hope,
Yeah.
whatever. It's just they're not all that artistic anymore. They're just kind of cars are boring now.
Yeah,
No
yeah,
one's
like
gonna. There's never gonna be another AMC Pacer.
Well, that's the thing though. That's the question, because I was looking at analysis of the slate, and that was like the people that are doing the analysis who are like deep into cars and have like 20 cars and everything's modern or whatever, is all customers want is these infotainments and want all these fancy features and want all this stuff, right? It's like not everybody. Like, so it's actually going to be really interesting to see how many people grapple onto that slate idea of, the base model is called the blank slate, they call it, has nothing. It doesn't have a stereo. It doesn't it doesn't even have speakers for a stereo, right? You can add all that stuff if you want to, and you could pay them to add it, or you can add it yourself. Like, it's designed where you can 3D print something and just slap it in there, or you just put your phone in there and put a Bluetooth speaker in there, and that's your infotainment and your stereo, right? They even make a little mount where you can hang the Bluetooth speaker below the dash, and it's a 2-seater. So do you need surround sound in a 2-seat vehicle? No. It's just say the one.
Does it have the cigarette lighter plug?
It better. I'm going to pay extra for that.
I think I'm looking at it right now, and it actually doesn't look that bad. Like, as far as like the Gremlin, I mean, whatever you think, Elon Musk, whatever, right? But I am kind of happy that Cybertruck exists. Not that I ever want to own one, but at the very least, somebody tried something that doesn't look like every other car on the road, right? Like, you see those, and you're like, oh, okay, well, you spent way too much money on a truck that's, I don't know. It's
first model year, right? First one off the factory floor. Yeah.
I mean, but I'm kind of happy that they exist only because, like, there's an actual, it's like an AMC Gremlin or a Pacer or whatever we're calling them, right? Like, it looks weird. And my wife's car is the same way. She has a Nissan Juke, and it's just like this little bubble with the little bug eyes on it. And it's my daughter's now, but it's just, it's goofy looking. And I'm like, all right, cool. People actually tried to make silly looking cars again and made the roads a little tiny bit more interesting, but now we're just kind of leveling off to this baseline again. And that, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't want to buy a Cybertruck, but I like seeing them on the road. It's like, oh, it's a Cybertruck.
Yeah, it is disheartening. I go to the grocery store and park, and like there'll be 5 small SUVs all in a row from different brands. And if you took the badges off of them, I honestly couldn't tell you which one was the Honda, the Volvo, the anything. They all have like coalesced into a nearly identical vehicle with exactly the same features.
Yeah. I remember GM, like, I don't know if you remember this, Greg, like 70s and 80s, like a GM, like there was like design elements that made it a GM. And I think like during the 80s, like GM always had the round headlights and Ford had like the new square ones or something like that. Like,
had their own like grills. The grills were always different. But
the grills were consistent within a manufacturer, kind of, but you just got different cars. And now, you're right, Eric. It's just, I don't know, cars are boring and gross now. And I drive a boring and gross car most of the time, and it works, so I'm not going to change that.
I have a Dodge Charger that I will never get rid of. It's a 2008, so it's got the haunches, and I just fell in love with it, and it was big enough for me to sit in. My truck is, I still have to to get in, and I got to, crane my neck, but I see these SUVs around and I'm like, there's no way. There's no way I'm going to fit in that comfortably or get into it comfortably. So the smallening of everything is disturbing.
Speaking of technology that exists where it shouldn't, Greg and I just experienced a frustrating thing yesterday. Well, kind of frustrating.
It kind of worked out, but yeah.
It worked out. But a bunch of us went to a Twins game yesterday, and all of the point of sale stuff went down, right? Because of the Google Cloud's platform, the GCP outage. That somehow affected their point of sale system. So it was like an entire inning and a half, I think, that it was down. Now, the thing about Target Field is they do not take cash. Like, it's cards only 100% all the time, which is kind of a bummer if all of the point of sales are down, because nobody can just do it by hand anymore. They have to have the stuff. Now, I enjoyed their workaround for this problem. Greg can talk about that.
Were they just giving stuff away?
Yeah, they were. They just handed it out.
Yeah.
Nice.
In fact, but to Chad's point, it wasn't even necessarily the point of sale. Like, they could enter orders. The credit card just wouldn't accept payments.
Okay.
And so, because some of them even mentioned, like, we can't accept cash. If we could, we could sell this to you. But most of them just started saying, just take it. So
yeah,
we got, I saw one of the IT guys, I assume he's an IT guy there. He was looking into it, trying to figure out what was going on. And I asked him, because it did seem to be somewhat intermittent between some of the stands. And I was like, hey, are they working again yet? And you could tell he was a bit overwhelmed. He just looked at me. He said, grab what you want and just get out of here. So I grabbed 2 beers and a candy bar.
Yeah.
Taking the opportunity. I'm running through with a grocery cart.
Yeah, I know.
Loading up.
Oh, that's what we should have done. We should have gone to the team store.
But yeah, I mean, I was actually gonna kind of go to the same direction, Chad, which was like another place I don't really want to see technology, which you hear it come up a lot, is in sports, and like specifically in baseball. They talk about having the electronic umps or whatever, right? And I would actually hate to see the umps get replaced with whoever, right? Because
Yeah.
first of all, they're not actually that bad. They're not wrong that often, right? I mean, I do think having the technology there to sort of track it, like you watch it on TV, I do find it interesting. And because mostly what I do is I compare, like, hey, how did that ump call it versus what the stat cast sort of look like, right? And then they should use that as after the fact to, which I think they do. The umpires review it and they look at how accurate they were, right? And so they get better with those stats. But I would hate to see them being replaced, like go to a game without having the ump back there, because, I mean, not that I want to see missed calls, but I mean, it is kind of part of the game. And then also you get the umps in when somebody gets rung up for a third strike. I mean, they put on a show, right? They're like, put them out and the crowd loves it and they wait for it and there's, a big thing around it. And so.
Yeah. Are they going to get ejected because they tapped on their hat because of the call?
Right. Yeah. Like what happens with all of that, and so that's another place. I just think it just doesn't need to be. Like it can be there and be used for training after the fact to make the people better, but don't replace them with it. It's it would just ruin the aesthetics of the game. And
you would lose
not
out
just
on all
baseball. I mean, same thing applies to football, hockey.
Yeah,
basketball.
and you would lose out on all of the fun mic'd up ejections that take place. Like
exactly.
I think everybody has watched. Maybe everybody has watched. If you haven't, you should. There was a manager. I think it was a Mets guy, right? Terry Collins, and one of his pitchers got thrown out, and he ran out there and he was wearing a mic, right? And somehow the audio leaked to the world, and so. Just hearing him and the ump yell back and forth to each other, it is hilarious, right? Yeah. And it's like, I don't get how they get that mad at each other and say that type of stuff to each other, and then the next day just show up to work and be like, "Oh, hey Terry, hey Bob, how you doing? Hey, sorry about like the 50 things I called you yesterday. I hope you call a fair game for me today." Like it's insane.
It's just part of the sport, fun. Like fighting in hockey. They can shake hands and So what are some devices that have not been replaced by like modern technology that should not be replaced?
I mean, the absolute classic example is voting. Like they have not seemed to be able to come up with a system, like, because it feels like it should be easy, like just go make a website, we can all log in and vote and boom, it's done, and it'd be tabulated instantaneously. but there's been no version of that system that would be actually secure and safe and trustworthy and everything. And so, as much as like there's technology to assist in tabulating, right? Like you put it through. It seems like, and I can't speak for everywhere, but it seems like most places still there's always paper to back up anything that's electronic. So even if you vote on a screen, it will print out a paper ballot that gets put into a box. And so if push comes to shove, or if they didn't trust the electronic tally for some reason, they can go into those boxes and hand count the pieces of paper as like the backup, and that's the at the end of the day the most trustworthy version of that. And so people talked about, well, you use blockchain and that kind of stuff, and like I don't see how that helps, but so I'm curious if someday somebody will crack that and figure out a better piece of technology for voting, but so far it hasn't happened.
It'll be an online game.
As a guy that likes to go to a same diner all the time, I am not as huge a fan of newspapers being all. I mean, great, have a website, have everything behind a paywall, whatever. I tried to subscribe to our local paper, and delivery was spotty at best. I think that's the best way to say it. It was actually relatively difficult to get our local paper delivered to me on a consistent basis. And I wish we could go back to, I think everybody in my old neighborhood, or even like 15 years ago, everybody in this neighborhood, like everybody subscribed to the paper, and delivery was pretty straightforward. You had like, every city had a few people and everybody got a paper, right? Nowadays, now that everything's online, it is actually, for whatever reason, difficult to get a physical copy of the paper delivered to you every morning. I just go to the gas station.
The subscriber count for paper has gotten so low that it's like you can't really employ the same amount of paper delivery personnel, whatever they call them, paper boys.
If you go pick one up, you are technically the delivery guy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Taking it to your house, the only place that actually.
Well, yeah.
I'm actually talking about the opposite of the burrito taxi.
Well, Chad, it's gonna be extra hard because you said you get it at the gas station. Well, once there's all electric cars, then those convenience stores might just go away too.
Yeah.
Oh man, dude, don't throw me out, man.
The cashless thing, I don't think they should be allowed to not take cash. My brother doesn't have a credit card and he doesn't have a smartphone. He uses cash. So it's like, you don't get to go to a Twins game. Or if you do, they'll sell you a ticket for cash. When you get in there, you get nothing.
Well, they have machines. They have vending machines. You can put your cash in and you get a card that you can use at the game. But no, I agree. But for kind of the same reason. Like, I have kids and we go to the game and my kids are old enough to go grab their own hot dog or whatever, but I have to go with them because I got to use my car, right? Or I can't just hand them a $10 bill and say, here, go get yourself a hot dog and a soda, right? It's inconvenient. It's a first world problem, but still, it's just another subset of people who just don't have credit cards, right? Don't even have access to them. So you're kind of blocking them all out.
Here, take this $10 prepaid Visa.
Yeah.
I got a pocket full of them. Yeah.
Exactly.
We don't. Well, we're printing too many plastic, preloaded cards, so we're going to start making paper versions of them, and you could put them in your wallet.
Yeah.
We just come full circle.
We could put pictures of like famous people on them.
Yep.
Speaking of coming full circle, is I remember years ago when we sort of cut the cord, we got rid of cable, right?
Yeah.
And we went to like streaming stuff. And then you get a Roku or some device, so you can assemble all of your streaming services on one device, with one remote. And then now those like Roku and whatever, now they have, I mean, this TV I got a few years ago, right? It has essentially the equivalent of a TV guide, but of what's playing on all of the different streaming services. Do you know what I mean? So like it has actually kind of come around. I'm like,
So you're basically rebuilding the cable TV experience
Yes.
and then paying 5 times what you were paying for cable.
Yeah, well, yeah, but now I pay it to, 18 different people.
Yeah, it's good. Spread the wealth.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, my version, because I did the same arc as you, Greg, where I went through all that with had multiple streamings and was like pare it down. But now a majority of the what I would call TV that I watch is from an antenna over the air.
Well, it's funny you say that because I was actually yesterday considering going out and buying one because I was looking at our bills and we have Hulu Live and I was going through the guide of what was on and I'm like, there's literally nothing on here that I would ever watch except for the local news. Like that's it.
Well, to make it
which I can
worse,
use an antenna.
so it's a trade-off for me, right? Because I stream a lot of baseball. But I think Greg and I were talking about this yesterday or day before. The streaming services. So back when it was all analog, right? Like game, you watched it on network TV or whatever, not a streaming service. The delay was like a half a second. But now with all of the streaming stuff and all of the whatever, the overhead, the delay between the play and the stream, it is like a minute and a half, maybe. Or maybe that's an exaggeration. I think 30 seconds is. But it is significant. So significant that I usually get an update on a play on my watch or on my phone, like kind of analog-esque, before I actually see it hack. So I can't like look at my phone or watch a streaming server or look at my phone or my watch while I'm watching a game on a streaming service because that'll tell me that something's about to happen before. Unless I'm at a bar and I want to bet, like I bet you this next swing is a home run, right? Like then I look like a genius. But
or it works out if you're like in the kitchen futzing around and the game's over on the TV, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, home run. You can run over there quick and you can see Royce Lewis, Jack.
Probably won't see him, but somebody.
Exactly. I had to tell my brother, like, you have to, when something big happens in the game, you have to wait a full minute before you text me. Otherwise, you're outpacing whatever I was watching.
Yeah, you don't want to be betting on specific plays or.
The application of technology in that situation has made it slightly worse, right? Like, yeah, I can stream now literally any baseball game that's happening at any moment, and I can go back and I can watch archived games, but everything else is going to happen like it's going to be on a tape delay, and I hate that.
It's made customer service worse. It's made, we got robots replacing people. It's made that worse, finding the job market worse.
Yeah. The
what else
chatbots,
is technology destroyed?
I can't stand talking to a chatbot. Or even worse for me when I actually have to call a number and it's the automated thing that's like, just say what you want. And I'm like, a human being, what do you like?
Here's 5 options. None of them fit what you want to talk about.
Pick the closest one.
Yeah. I usually just start talking gibberish until it's like, I don't understand what you're saying. I will give you to a person. Thank God. Right? Like, just give me that option right away.
I had that problem this past weekend. My internet has been dying occasionally, very intermittently, once or twice a day. And I just reboot the modem or whatever. And so I called Xfinity and I looked at the modem logs and whatever and kind of deciphered them. And it sounds like there's somewhere a bad connection. And I was trying to get a hold of somebody because I went out and I inspected the cable and sure enough, it was like, I don't know, a squirrel was chewing on it or something, right? And so I just needed to get a hold of somebody and say, hey, I need somebody to come out, just replace this. There's something wrong with it. And I had to go through all the menu and the first menu was like, what are you having problems with? I'm like, my modem, right? Or connection. And that came up automated saying, would you like to take the first steps in fixing this? And I was like, of course I do. Otherwise I wouldn't have called. Like I didn't know how to answer it. So I'm like, well, yes, of course I do. Right. Okay. I'll reboot the modem. Is that okay? And I'm like, no, I already did that. Okay. Would you like to take the first steps and fix it? Like, no. Okay. Thank you for calling. I hung up and I had to start all over. It was just like, just give me a person.
Yep.
There's some systems that will give you, and then when I did, it was fine. But
if you say that right away, there's some systems that will give you a person. It's like, okay, that's fine. I like you better now. That's great. But then there's other ones that will hang up on you. Sorry, we couldn't help you today. Click.
This one did not. I told it right away. I mean, it got to the point where I was screaming at it. My wife actually came over and asked me, like, "Do you want me to take care of this?" Like, no. I'm having a very heated argument with this robot right now. I'm going to see it through.
How long did it take you?
It took me like 20, 30 minutes to finally get a person on there. And then, when I
That's
did, that person seemed fairly knowledgeable and got
There's
somebody sent out. But
So somebody out there was outraged by this enough. There's a whole website where you can put in the company name and it tells you the most straight path. They're like mapping out the straightest path from like calling the phone number to getting a human on. The trick used to be because like before it was like you talk to it, it was whatever. Like if you just like kept hitting zero.
yeah, just mash zero.
It would over and over again. It would like get confused and just like be like, oh fine, I'll get a human for you then.
Yeah.
But that doesn't work as commonly anymore, unfortunately.
Yeah, it doesn't. I tried it over the weekend. It didn't work.
How many, Kyle, how many desk phones do we have at the office now? Just one?
0.
Even Jill?
The main number transfers to Jill's phone.
To her cell phone?
And then, yeah.
What happens when Jill takes a vacation?
Transferred to Jill's phone.
She can never take a vacation. No, we can change who's going to get the calls to somebody else. We don't get that many calls anymore that are not sales calls. It's very rare that somebody's calling, and everybody was using their cell phone for work. All the salespeople, everybody was. So we had all these lines, and you could set them up as just voicemail, or you could have them forward calls, things like that. And it wasn't cheap. And then it was like, well, no one's really using them.
Yeah.
So we pared it down, and then we ended up getting down to 1. We might have 2. We might, I think Kim has 1 for calls about employment verification.
I seem to recall having working with PBX vendors. It's weird to think that's probably an entire industry that just does not exist anymore, right? Like the people that came out and like serviced the office phones and like every desk had a phone and like they set up the lines and the cabling and everything else. I didn't even think about that until I asked, but like that entire job is probably, I don't even know what those people are doing anymore. Like they probably just went away, right?
I think there's
maybe for mid-sized company. I mean, but like the customer I'm working at, they have desk phones and it's not just like legacy stuff they've like had. Like they're paying considerable amounts of money for modern desk phones.
Yeah.
Same with my wife. She works for the state, and they're still paying for physical phones on every desk.
I would get so mad if mine ever rang.
When was the last time you got a gig where you got your email and then you got your phone number?
I mean, I was just going to say the last time I can remember having a desk phone was, I think, 2014, 15. I was at one of our clients, and I didn't have the number. And I remember I got a phone call on it once, and was surprised as hell. I actually looked at it. I'm like, what? Why is this thing making noise?
Were you more confused or them?
Yeah, and then I looked at the group that I was working with. I'm like, should I answer? They're like, yeah, I guess. So I picked it up, and it was somebody internally had looked up my extension and called me. But that was 10 years ago.
Yeah, it was 2012 for me. Like, and even in 2012 I was annoyed. Like we were all sitting next to each other. And so if my phone rang, it was almost never an actual thing, and it rang too much.
Yeah. The old days. Get your headset on. I had a headset, and then I had I made a little sign that stuck up that said, "I'm on the phone right now." Because people would walk up and start talking to me. Now I have a light.
That happens today still. Like I'll be on a Teams call and people will just kind of like walk up and wander up and start jibber jabbering. So I think that problem hasn't necessarily gone away because of the different technology we're using.
Yeah,
But
that's part of why I still wear headphones is that then I condition my daughter where if she comes in here and she sees my headphones on, it's like she just turns around and walks out.
Do we need to get little beacons for the desks so you can turn it on when you're on a call? I got one that was supposed to work with Teams and plug into the computer, and it was like $40 and it didn't work. So I was very disappointed. Well, that's kind of the other thing is like the obsolescence factor of this stuff. Like the integration piece. Like this device is dependent on this other thing being set up a certain way. You know, we had these Task Alpha copiers that did not support TLS 1.3 or 4. And there's nothing we could do about it. They still worked fine, but we had to replace them.
Yeah, we were at the top of the podcast. We were talking about smart thermostats, and I've forgotten about that. Like till you mentioned it, Kyle, is they when I bought a new furnace, I don't know, like 12 years ago now, and it came with like the branded smart thermostat for the furnace, but it had to hook up to Wi-Fi, and it was already so out of date, like out of the box, that it came bundled with a Wi-Fi that supported the old protocol that it needed, that they wanted to set up, and I'm like, no, it's like that old protocol is gone because it's insecure. I'm like, no, let's set up this like open hotspot in my house just so the thermostat can talk to it. So, yeah, it's obsolete before we even got to use it. So I did encounter one thing recently that I was proud of. It was a company that like a retailer who used a low tech solution to solve a problem, which was interesting because a certain video game console just came out recently, and people are clamoring for it, and it was impossible to get with all the other retailers because they were all selling it through their website, and of course, just people are trying to scalp that stuff and buy it up to sell it on eBay, and it's so easy to write bots. So as much as they want to stop people from like buying hundreds of them, it's impossible. It's like a race where you always lose, where people write bots to like put in hundreds of orders. And Target, on the other hand, they just chose they just didn't sell it through their website or app or anything, period. You could get one if you physically came into a store and walked up to a human being and said, I'd like to have one of those things, and then they would hand it to you. And it meant that they had them on like at launch day. You could go in for like, I think it was like 2 full days. They had them in stock, and people that wanted one could actually get one instead of them just being instant, because all the other retailers who put them up, they were just sold out within like 1 minute, so it was a very pleasant experience.
So we're starting to wind down, getting to the end as a society, as a podcast. And I think they should bring back cash. And like, you got to take cash, and yeah,
as long as they get rid of
in-store sales.
Yeah.
When I say oh, sorry.
I need to keep a grocery list on my fridge or my oven.
You got a big 2-wheeler. You got to haul that fridge into the Tom Thumb.
I don't need to get Netflix on in my car, like blocking the view.
I can't wait till I have my Apple Watch.
That is the fun thing, is they like make that deal to put Netflix in your car, but then it won't work while the car's driving.
Yeah,
right. It just feels pointless.
Watching Netflix on a tiny screen while you're driving.
I'm actually going backwards with all of the wearable stuff. Like my watch beeps and chirps and does everything. So like it's kind of rewired my brain. Like it'll beep 15 minutes ahead of a meeting, and then if I'm in 6 meetings, then I got like, this has happened where I get like 6 different beeps, and I look at them like, Jesus, I'm supposed to be in 6 places in 15 minutes. and I have like 8 text messages and Facebook, like whatever. And I have to figure out how to get all of that to just stop. I'd like it for just to tell me time and tell me to walk around a little bit. That's it. But right now it tells me everything, and it spoils baseball games for me if I'm watching it on streaming. So all of
Yeah,
it is
I
well,
want the
well,
health
Chad,
monitoring piece. That's kind of what I want.
Chad, you helped me make a decision because I was on the fence of my fitness watch is broken, it won't charge anymore. I was like, do I buy a new fitness watch, like just a fitness watch, like a
Yep.
standalone? It doesn't have any smart features, but it
Mhm.
costs the same amount of money as the smartwatch. I'm like, oh, do I just get a smartwatch instead? But clearly the answer is I don't.
It'll
Because like you
it
said,
messes it messes with your brain chemistry, I think. I mean, I'm sure I could turn all this nonsense off, right? But by default, it's all you're just getting blasted, and
right, because
I don't think it's good.
right, because literally all I want is like it's kind of like you're saying, but it's like I'm going for a run. I want it to tell me how far I've run and how long it's taken. That's it.
Yeah.
Just tell me those two numbers, and that's what I need.
Yeah, I've got one, and it took me, I would say probably a couple of months to, as things would come around across, I would take the time to go like, okay, I don't want that notification. I don't want that one. And it, after a couple of months of getting it, it's like, I've got it where I want it. Like you said, it's a fitness watch, but I can do text, phone calls, email, whatever. And so I've got it limited down, like, yes, text notifications. And when I go golfing, I want it to keep score and tell me how far I am from the hole.
I can tell you, Greg, probably pretty far.
Yeah,
It's
always
golf.
Maybe there will be when you
Just
purchase these things
constantly-
online, there will be configuration options like you'll put your age in, and then it'll recommend. Okay, we're turning off notifications. We're going to turn on the heart monitoring and your blood pressure and all that.
just a generational preset settings,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah.
Well,
let's see, you're kind of old. You're gonna want
Grumpy
these
old man.
things. Yeah.
Val, you're talking about that before we started, where instead of increasing the font size of your phone, you're just making the phone bigger.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm getting a big phone because I got big thumbs. Yeah. So I did read a few things, like note taking was like sketchy because it's going into a system and that can be hacked, and all of a sudden somebody can read all your notes and things like that, where you're instead of keeping that on some physical thing, you're putting it out there, and there's always a security issue with that, I think.
Yeah.
I have wondered that, like, what is the, like, if you ran the numbers, because I used to do that. I'd write passwords on a post-it note at my desk with no context. It was just the password. Is that more secure than putting it into like a LastPass or a Bitwarden or something at the end of the day? But I never, I'm not sure what the research would show there, because it felt very secure to have it only in that one physical location without any context. But
yeah,
I never knew.
And it's the no context. I think that's the key, right? I mean, that's mostly what security is. It's just obscurity, and it's just like not knowing,
Yeah.
right? And so,
Well, and then you take security measures, like I have a lock on my office door, but then the cleaning people and the maintenance people have master keys for the entire building.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, well, that doesn't feel safe.
Yeah.
I trust them all. I'm not saying they're coming in here and doing anything, but it's, it's like this being circumvented. It's like there's a security gap there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So technology, it's a double-edged sword.
It is.
That's my parting
Well,
thought.
that kind of reminds me, I was at the worked at, I don't know if we can I say which clients I was at? Anyway,
No.
it was a large bank. Let's put it that way. And they had, many servers that we had to keep track of our usernames and passwords, which they forced us to change every 30 days. And so I had dozens of them. And then likewise, other people had dozens. So everybody on the team had dozens. And it got so out of hand because then you would be on call. And so like you would have to have your own account for, the dev stage production servers and stuff. And so then when you're on call and you'd be rotating them and it got so out of hand that we all used the same password. We would just actually write it down on a whiteboard at the beginning of the month in the office. So that
That's why
everybody on the
they've,
team could actually get into the production server when needed to troubleshoot stuff, right?
They
And
no
so,
longer recommend changing passwords or forcing password resets.
I've started doing that exact same thing where I'll just send myself a message on Teams. Every time I have to change it, I'll send myself a message on Teams with the SSH command, the server name /new password, right?
Yeah.
So then every single time, because I don't know, like there's too many, even current day, which is 1,000 times less secure than just, hey, maybe once a year would be great.
Right. Well, and something else I read was they were doing some comparisons on password security. And you know how every site has this like, hey, it's got to be at least whatever 8 letters, and it has or 8 characters with a special character and a number and blah blah blah. Well, I had read that actually the most secure thing is not having the numbers and the special characters, but you come up with a 3 or 4 word phrase or something that means something to you, right? So it ends up being like 24 characters long, but like that they recommended something like, hey, just think of your routine when you say get up in the morning, right? And so maybe your password is shower, coffee, eggs, and shoes or something. Putting on your shoes and leaving, right? But it's easy to remember because you just remember this pattern.
I just counted. My password is 26 characters long.
Yeah. I have one that's also that way, but because I follow this
passphrases. All right. Well, we've run out of time. So I think unless anybody has a quick parting thought, we can shut her down.
I don't have anything smart to say anymore. I'm tapped out.
For today or for your life?
Has to be tomorrow.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen. Happy Friday. Thanks for joining us. And we'll see you right next time. And until then, let's say goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye. Solution Design Group is a digital product consultancy in Minneapolis. Check us out on the web at solutiondesign.com or look for us on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram at Solution Design Group.